Hey guys, Josh here, and a few weeks ago, Pixel Sprout Studios, the developers behind the farming sim Sunhaven, announced a brand new game called Sundown, which released on Steam on February 24th. It's under $10, so I decided to give it a try, and in this video, I will share with you my thoughts on this game, and hopefully this will help you decide if it's for you or not. Sundown is a game that combines elements from the farming sim and the roguelike genres, and your goal is to survive through waves of monsters for a year on your farm. As you progress, you will gain new abilities and power-ups, and you will also grow some crops and raise animals in order to earn money and build turrets to help you in defeating the monsters. As it is a roguelike, if you die, you will have to start over, and even though it has some farming elements, it is not a farming sim, and while it does take place in the same universe as Sunhaven, there's not too much of a story and it's a totally different game. So just keep those things in mind, and I will walk you through my experience with this game. So I played this game for about 3 hours and I had 2 successful runs. One of them was on the launch date on the 24th. The other one was just a day later on the 25th. And the game actually changed quite a bit between those 2 days, and I feel like it will keep changing a lot in the future, so I wanted to point that out and you will understand why later. But let's talk about the gameplay for now. The first thing you do in Sundown when you start a new run is selecting between Darius and Lucia, the 2 playable characters. And in the end, they are pretty much the same. The only difference is the spell that they start with. Lucia will launch fireballs, which are great at shooting enemies from a distance, and Darius will summon a sword, which is more suited for close-range combat. They also both have a different house interior, but during my first playthrough at least, there was absolutely nothing to do inside the house and no way to go back inside at any point, so I don't think it makes much of a difference which character you choose. Anyway, once you're outside, the game begins. Your character will attack automatically, so the controls are extremely simple. You just move around with WASD, and every few seconds, your character will launch all of their spells towards wherever your cursor is aiming. During the daytime, which lasts about 49 seconds, if I'm not wrong, there are only a few monsters, so you can spend that time gathering materials like stone or wood. And once again, the controls are very simple. You just need to stand a few seconds beside a material to gather it. And after the 49 seconds of daylight, there's gonna be a 10 seconds countdown that starts for sundown. And then after sundown, there's gonna be a 29 seconds timer for the whole duration of the night. And then at night, hundreds of monsters will appear. So your goal will be to survive and get rid of as many of them as you can. Each monster you kill will drop experience points, which will be used to level up. And each time you level up, you get to choose between 3 new power-ups. You can get new spells, for example the fireball or the sword from the other character, as well as other spells like a circle that damages any enemy getting near you, meteors falling from the sky randomly, a snowball launcher that will freeze enemies, or even a hedgehog that occasionally spins around you and will damage everyone that's on its way. There's quite a bit of different spells, and you can also get power-ups that will make them stronger, or power-ups that will increase your stats like your damage, your spellcasting speed, or your movement speed. It won't take long before your character will get pretty powerful and launch spells in every direction every second, easily beating hundreds of monsters every night. It's very chaotic, but also very satisfying. However, one little issue I had is that every run felt pretty much the same. For me, what I like the most about roguelikes is their replayability. I like when every run you get completely different power-ups and you have to adapt and change your gameplay to make the most of what you get. But in Sundown, you will easily get all of the spells and you will make them powerful enough pretty quickly, so you won't have to worry too much about changing your strategy. As long as you're careful about avoiding getting cornered by enemies, you will be fine. So every playthrough just felt the same and a little bit too easy. At launch on the 24th, there were also no upgrades that carried over from one run to the next, which is usually an important component of a roguelike. So the game ends after 1 year and there are 5 days in each season, so 1 day is about 1 minute, so 20 minutes for 1 year. And this is what spring looks like. This is summer, this is autumn, and lastly, this is winter. I'm not sure why they took the time to implement seasons. They all look and play the same. The monsters just get slightly stronger as you progress. That's the only difference, and also all the enemies will attack the same way, which is just by touching you. It would have been fun to see enemies with different behaviors, maybe some with long-range attacks, But besides their appearance, their HP and strength, there is no difference between the different enemies. Also, the crops are the same no matter the season. So with the coins you collect, you can buy wheat or carrot seeds. These are the only two crops, and they will get planted automatically in your field when you buy them. However, just be careful because the game will let you buy them even if your field is already full, resulting in your money just disappearing. So wheat is great for making money. I would recommend always planting as much as you can. Just make sure, as I just said, to not buy more seeds than space you have in your field. And you can use that money to increase your stats. Carrots are not as valuable, but they can be used to build turrets. So there are a few different types of turrets in this game. Some are made with carrots, others with eggs or milk that you will get from animals, but they all work pretty much the same way. In fact, I didn't notice much difference between the different turrets. You just place them in front of your house and they will shoot enemies automatically. And in most cases, they won't be as strong as your character. To be honest, I didn't find them to be that useful, but it's nice to have some options. Other things you can craft are chicken beds and cow beds, but the game doesn't have any item description. And I could not figure out what those items were for. Even after placing them on my farm, nothing happened. Outside of the farm, there are a few other things you can do. For example, you'll find monster camps around the map, and if you manage to beat the monsters defending the camp, you will get a power-up. During my first playthrough, all of those camps had the same turtles, and they all had 1 star above them. And I was a little bit confused as to why there was only one enemy type and why they all had the same star rating. But anyway, they were pretty easy to get rid of and allowed me to get lots of power-ups. Once all of the camps were cleared, however, there really wasn't much reason to go out of my farm anymore, so I just stayed in front of my house until the end of winter. There were 2 other houses on the map, but no one living there and no way to go inside the houses, even though the Steam description of the game advertised a way to meet and marry your neighbors. In fact, I was a bit confused at all of the features that seemed to be missing because besides marriage, the game also promised ways to customize your house and farm, over 200 character upgrades, various mini quests, the ability to have a dragon, and overall I just felt like I wasn't playing the same game that I was sold, and everything had been feeling very lacking and unbalanced. So I beat the game by surviving winter, it brought me back to the main menu, and even though I did have some fun beating up the monsters, I seriously considered asking for a refund since I had less than 2 hours of playtime on Steam. Was that really all that game had to offer? A roguelike with less than 2 hours of content and no replay value? So I had to double check on Steam to make sure this wasn't a game in early access, and it was indeed the full release. Nowhere did it say the game was incomplete or still in development, so I was just really confused. I started writing this review, but then the following day, a huge update dropped. It was patch 1.1, so I gave the game another try and things suddenly made a tiny bit more sense. When starting a new run, I could now buy permanent upgrades at the anvil which is inside the house, and those upgrades carry over from one run to the next, and those can be bought using gems that you get by defeating monsters. Also, the 2 romanceable characters, May and Ethan, now appeared in front of their house, and speaking to them once a day got me some free power-ups. I spoke to them many days in a row and we eventually got married. So there's no marriage cutscene, you just marry through a dialogue. So I married both of them and I was hoping that they would maybe move to my house or help me defeat some monsters or give me something special, but they just remain in front of their house forever. And they really don't do anything else than give you a daily power-up, so marriage doesn't do anything. The dialogue is also the same for every run, so if you do multiple runs, you will get bored of it pretty quickly, and many of the lines are the exact same for both characters, to the point where my character will often address May as Ethan, so they really just copied and pasted some of the romance dialogues from Ethan to May, and did not bother changing the names. The monster camps were improved a little bit, so it was no longer just 1-star turtles, but various monsters ranging from 1 to 3 star. Still, they were not that much more challenging, and once all of the camps were cleared, I just found myself spending all day walking from May's house to Ethan's house to get my free power-ups, waiting a bit around my farm, and doing the same thing the next day. A few ores like coppers and iron were also added. Previously, the only things I could gather were stone and wood, but unfortunately, they are not adding anything to the gameplay. They simply slightly tweaked the items required to craft the turrets. And as I said before, the turrets are not even that useful. Other than that, the game felt pretty much the same. I was able to complete another run and that was it. So I am glad that they added the permanent upgrades with the anvil, but the game is still way too easy and short to even need or get the chance to enjoy these upgrades. I think they really need to make the monsters more challenging and the game a little bit longer if they want these permanent upgrades to feel valuable. So after my second run, I stopped playing and I decided to read the patch notes, and they announced some upcoming content for the game. There will be 2 new playable characters, new pets, a pig, a map that actually changes with the seasons, some forageable items, more turrets and items, and improvements to the story and world building, which is right now completely absent. I'm always excited to hear about new content, but in this specific case, this all sounds like things that should have been in the game from the start. I did find the mechanics of going around and destroying enemies satisfying, but there's nowhere near enough content in this game and everything is way too unbalanced right now to be sold as a complete game in my opinion. If it was clearly advertised as being in early access, I would not be as harsh as I am right now, because I do think this game has the potential to be fun if they keep working on it. But right now, they really are misleading players with a game description that doesn't match what's actually in the game. You can find lots of roguelikes with way more content for the same price or even cheaper. For example, there's Hero Siege, which I've put over 40 hours into, and this is a lot of fun. There's also Vampire Survivors, which I've not played personally, but I've heard good things about it from a lot of other people. So this is not a genre that's lacking. There are so many amazing games that you can find that are going to be better than Sundown. So to conclude, if you're into roguelikes and you would like to experience a spin-off of Sunhaven that takes place in the same universe and you really want to try it, I would recommend waiting for a few updates until the game is a bit more fleshed out. Right now the reviews are mixed on Steam, so I would keep an eye on those and see if it ever goes up. But for now, you can easily find a roguelike that will be worth your money more than this game. Honestly, I really don't like how they are advertising this as a full release while it's clearly not, and I just cannot recommend this game as it is. For now, I will go back to playing Sunhaven, which I've been really enjoying a lot, and it should get its full release on March 10th, so just a few days from now. It's just odd that both games are from the same studio, and to my understanding, they were developed by different team members, but still the level of quality is just so different. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Have you played Sundown? Did it let you down like it did for me, or did you enjoy it? I really hope this game will get better in the future, but let me know all of your thoughts in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video.